I'm going to have to fix my phone because my space is uh, getting full, and that's why these videos keep stopping. But the bellow itself, it's got the screw hole and the nail hole, and when you go to put it back in, you want to make sure that you put the nail hole and the screw hole in the exact same spot, because if you don't, it'll change the sound of the bellow. Now I'm going to blow into this hole and let you hear what it sounds like with the holes closed, and now with the holes open. There is a slight difference, and the more holes that you put in this thing, the it will change the sound of the bellow. So make sure that you use the same holes when you go to put it back into the case. Now I have everything all cleaned up. On the top of it, I have it all cleaned up. I pulled the paper back. That way I can glue the paper back after I got the bellow stuck on. But everything's all cleaned up. I use Loctite super glue to put my bellows material on. Other people use contact cement. I like using the super glue because it's nice and fast. And I do have the staple pulled out of the top, and I'll put that back in when after I got the bellows in. I don't like working around it. I take them out. I think it looks better if you take them out and put them back in. And now, with mine cut in half, you're going to need a little bit left on the side. So I'm going to show you when you rotate this thing around. I could cut about 2 or 3 inches off this paper because you don't need that much at the end. So that's what I'm going to do now. There are lines on this paper. That way you can get a straight cut. Um, Prior to installing the bellow paper, you have to make a hinge for the top and the bottom. There has to be a hinge. The flat spot goes on the end of the bellow, and you got a tapered section that goes up front. So we're going to put a hinge on this tapered section. And I'm going to do that now off camera. Make sure that you actually are using the liquid super glue and not the gel. The liquid will set up faster. But here's the bottom part of the hinge. It's cut to the same width as the top of the bellow. So now I'm going to super glue the other part together. Now I have the top part super glued together, and I have the red paper back down on it. You actually have a hinge, and the weight of the that's inside of it will drop it. So now we have to put the sides paper on. But you have to start off with the hinge. If you don't have the hinge, it will not work properly. Now, wrapping my paper around the bellow, you can see I still got a little bit that I need to cut off. You don't need that much on the ends. You're just going to need a tab. So I'm going to cut some more off. You just need a tab. That way it secures the paper all together. So I'm going to cut some more off this end. And I'm also going to mark where I got the bellow laying on the paper. That way when I go to put the paper back on, the bellow back on the paper, I know where it needs to go. The reason I cut the bellows in half, once you got this all glued out and stretched, this is going to be where the bellow is going to open. And I found that with the paper that I have, it's works perfect for every bellow that I've dealt with. This I'll have to get a measurement on this to let you know what's the width on it. The width of the paper is about 1.75 inches, and so it comes in about 3.125 inches wide. But when I cut it into, like I said, it's about 1.75 inches, a little over 1.75 inches, and that width works perfect for creating bellows. So now I have the paper cut to the length that I need. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, and I want to show you again, you have just enough paper just for a tab. So when you're all done. So what I do is I get a tab started, put my bellow on the paper, then I'm going to glue this end of the bellow first and then wrap it around. So I'm going to do that now off camera. Now I have the first section started. When you put the paper on, you glue it, you take your fingers or a screwdriver and you rub down on the wood so it sticks nice and good. So now I'm going to go around and I'm just going to pull the paper and I'm going to glue it to the sides of the clock. So I'm going to do one side off camera so you can see what I'm doing. I'm pulling the paper nice and tight, and I'm not lining it up with nothing, because the way we started, both sides of the paper are going to come up onto the clock, and then you will trim away any excess. As you can see, I got one side glued down already, and I'm going to glue the other side down. Now this side's a little bit trickier because the top of the bellow has not been taken off, and you have to watch out for this piece of wood here. This piece of wood here is what actually makes the cuckoo sound when it's all said and done with. It's like putting a piece of grass in between your thumbs and blowing. This piece of wood has to be glued down just perfectly. Now, if your bellow isn't working afterwards, it's probably because this piece of wood here has came up and got out of position. So all you have to do is take it off, and preferably you take it off without putting the paper on and blowing through that hole and finding out where the position is that makes the best noise for you. So anyway, I'm going to glue this side of the paper down, but you have to be careful because there's not a lot of room on this side. I'm going to do that now.